Hi everyone, it's me Carol from Practical Mystic. As always, thanks for joining me. Today, this video, we are going to finally come to the last of these single digit numbers in the Pythagorean triangle. So in this video, what I will do is explain a little bit of the complexities and misunderstanding of the number 9, which is our last digit. Of course, the properties and the characteristics of that number as well. What we need to understand is that everyone born in the 20th century had the number 1 and 9 in their date of birth. And I will explain that in detail later when we evaluate the Pythagorean triangle to see how that has blessed you, helped you, and kind of takes away from the properties of the number 9, which is what I am going to be explaining here with you. Because everyone for the past 1,000 years had a number 1 and 9 in their vibration, what I want you to do is to look at your Pythagorean triangle. Of course, you know your date of birth, but if the only 9 you have comes from the year of birth, i.e., any 1970, any number, but that the 1 and 9, or the number 9, I should say, comes strictly from the year, then your 9 is not a individual number that was given to you in your date of birth. You incarnated in the 20th century, but the number 9 is universal. So is the number 1, but the number 1, because of its force and because it is united, its energy stays the same, whereas the 9, in describing its personality, its characteristic, its potential, its vibration, whatever you want to call it, is universal. So the energy is dissipated, as well as we know the number 9 has within it all preceding numbers, numbers 1 through 8. So it's diffused in some way. Now, the other thing about the number 9 is you can see here, it always gives back to the number it is added with. If you add 1 and 9 together, it's a 10-1. Again, why that 19 is so powerful, and numerologists consider the 1 a united force and a quality in the individual. It's me, myself, and I. It is our individuality. But if you add 3 and 9 together, you get 12. 1 and 2 is 3. The 9 cancels itself out. The 3 remains. Add 9 and 6. 9 cancels itself out because 1 and 5 is 6. And the same goes down with any number that you add up, except that when you add up 9 and 9 is 18, it gives back that number. So, understanding that, you're looking in your charts and now you are differentiating what kind of 9 you have. If you only have 1 9 due to being born in the 20th century, then realize that it is a universal force. I will explain that as we go on in this video, but I thought that was important. Now, the other thing is how important the number 9 is when we will be interpreting in the Pythagorean triangle what is called the planes of expression. So everyone born in the 20th century has a 1 and a 9, and if you have a 5, you're going to have a full line of what is called determination. I also like to call it our purpose, because you've got your individuality, your humanitarian, the collective have a 5. You unite all that and you form this line of determination. Also, those born in the 20th century, you have the first given 9 for what is considered the plane of action. I also like to call it our energy. If you have with it a number 8 and of course a number 7. We will get in depth with this. Our next video, I will start the planes of expression. But know that you're blessed in some way with having a 1 and a 9, and certainly if you have a 5, we've discussed this before, how important that 5 is to balance the Pythagorean triangle. So let's go ahead and get acclimated here as I'm getting my papers to show you what we have going on. I also want you to make note that the 9, when we're using the Pythagorean system for the Pythagorean triangles, because we use the days of the week and the planets that are assigned to it, we also know that Pluto and Neptune, of course, are not the first 7 original planets. They are transcendental planets. So the 8 and the 9 have different properties in that they are more universal again. And then, of course, not having a day of the week also gives you more, it makes you boundless to the property of the day that you were born and that planet that was assigned to it. So there's greater liberties when you have an 8 and you have a 9 because of the lack of restriction from that day of the week and what you're conformed with that planet that's assigned. Here, these transcendental planets take away those boundaries, those limitations, and give you more of that universal feeling. So what are some of the properties of number 9? Well, number 9 is definitely brotherhood. It has to do with service. It has to do with generosity. Everyone with the number 9 has a deeper understanding, almost like, I know there's a reason why I'm born, and there's a questioning. There's a philosophical bend to the number 9. Now, in the Pythagorean triangle, you're going to see that the number 9 being on the top right-hand corner, where you have the mind line, of course, in connection, what I just showed you here, the vertical line, the action line. It is very instrumental in connecting the mind fully with action, with creating and manifesting. So that's another important aspect to where the number 9 sits. Because of the planet Neptune, I also want to say that it symbolizes both the mystical and the scientific nature of life. And we can say that the mystical 7 has to do with heaven, and then the scientific 7 has to do with earth, and both are properties of the 9, and the individual who is born with 2 or more 9s sometimes struggle because they have one foot in both dimensions, in both worlds. Okay, let's go ahead and put our charts up here. We'll have a visual for everybody, and we begin with some keywords that I like to do. And let me make sure this is correct on your screen here. All right, number 9, keywords. It's a foundation, absolutely, because within it, again, we have all the numbers preceding it. So now we have a complete foundation, something to jump off with to go into the next higher dimensions. The key to jumping off and getting into the higher dimensions for those individuals who have a 9 life path number and many 9s in their Pythagorean triangle is self-awareness. Now, that's true with everybody, but the humanitarian aspect of the 9 says the more you know yourself, the more you will understand humanity because you're working with the collective. Pythagoreans say that the 9 is the limit of all numbers. It is the triple triad. Now, what are the aspects? It represents selfishness and universal awareness. And the single 9, as I said before, if it only comes from the 19 in your year of birth, then that single 9 is really on the mental horizon, the row, the first of the vertical action row. There is energy and emphasis placed on intellectual pursuits with ambitions. And the key to having one number 9, which everyone born in the 1900s did, is to initiate action towards ideas and thoughts of innovation. We saw the technological age take off during the 20th century. So it is a universal number if you only have 1 9 from that time of birth. And if you have a 9 from the 9th month, or the 9th day, or the 19th day of the month, or the 29th day of the month, plus a 9, then you do have more than 1 9. Okay, we're going to begin with 2 9s. It is the double 9 combination indicating great mental activity. Remember, friends, I don't think I brought the, yes, I did. 3, 6, 9 is our mental plane. So this is thought, ideas, reasoning, concept, and of the mental plane, 9 has within it aspects of the 3 and the 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. So there's a lot of mental activity going on. And here I put the minds operate in an orderly, mathematical, and specific manner. This quality can also work against them at times, being overly rigid and or resistant to different ideas. And in doing that, of course, you can alienate yourself from others. Many are philosophers of some sort. There are some who believe this number combination is an indication of profound wisdom brought back for use in this lifetime. Those with double 9s need to learn to be accepting and patient with those who do not have your mental capacity or your mental capacity or idealism. You set high standards for you and your work. There is an awareness of what your purpose is in this line. Again, that's even more accentuated with that 1 down here. Even if you don't have a 5, that's why the double 9s seem to be goal and oriented. There's a mission to accomplish. There's something I have to learn. There's something that I have to do. And right now what I'm doing, friends, is getting the next one. which is the 3 number 9s. Okay, now here you have the triple 3s, and most people with this combination will go through rough times and periods in their lifetime. Much of this can be based on the choices they make and how their thoughts and mind perceive situation and events. We have to remember that after thought, there is usually an action. We don't act and then think later. Sometimes we do when we get hit on the head or there's repercussions or consequences that are going to be made. We say, I shouldn't have taken that course of action, and then we think it through. But ideally, there is thought before action. It's an individual process. This powerful combination of energy, if it is out of balance and in a stressful situation, there is a greater tendency for emotional outbursts. They become frustrated with themselves. They become tongue-tied. You see the blood rushing. The triple 9s step over themselves, and believe me, it hurts them more than you know when their minds seem to lock up and not understand how to perceive or go forward. So it's understanding that emotional nature, how they become blocked. There's a tendency for the emotional outburst because now the body is in a state of flight, fight or flight, and if they can't move, then they're going to show some discomfort in their body, especially their eyes, their lips, and their facial features. Okay, so we know that having some type of exercise routine on a daily basis helps them get out of their head. It releases an inner need to have things just so and close to perfection, which usually is not really necessary. Again, remember that I just said previously that the number 9s tend to want to be perfectionists, and they're very hard on themselves. So the triple 9s are even more so. There is great potential for owners of this combination to become writers, teachers, scientists with innovative discoveries which improve mankind. Others direct their vast inner knowledge in teaching spiritual, metaphysical, and occult concepts. The key for this vibration is to be objective, learning what one's self-defeating behaviors are, being content with who they are and where they are without personal judgment or guilt. That is a big order, but that is going to help balance the mental, purposeful, scientific, spiritual aspects of the 3-9 individual. All right, we are now going to come to the 4 9s, as well as even if there is 5 9s, which is very, very rare, but the 4 and the 5 9s have a lot of similarities. It's basically very repetitive. Those with this or 5 9s may have a difficult time fitting in and or letting their guard down. They're so self-conscious. Their mind is racing. They want to do the right thing. They want to say the right thing. They want to be accepted because they realize that they are different in many ways. They're philosophers. Their thinkings. Think of the hermit as an energy of the 9. So much mental input can be confusing, frustrating, and nerve-wracking. Again, having something physical to do, writing down your thoughts and then letting it go, acknowledging it, because sometimes the 9 people will say, I'm going to think of something else, but that does not work. Sometimes letting it out through your hands, putting it physically, releases it from your energy field, your emotional body. So, some with this combination are also very brilliant people. Some of them are geniuses. Those around them, though, have a hard time coping with their introverted ways and lack of interest in the mundane world. This combination can be expressed in multiple ways, depending again on the rest of the numbers in the triangles. Having a number 5 and a number 2, of course, the number 2 would be here, the number 5 would be here, greatly helps to balance this number combination. Having peace of mind is what many of these aspects find very challenging. Shutting down, closing off. Again, physical exertion helps greatly. The outdoors, spending time in nature, and physically doing something productive. See, they feel like they have to contribute, they have to do, they have to have a result from their thinking, from their processing. This number combination can also express itself in negative ways. When one feels superior and lacks tolerance for those they view as inadequate. So they have to be careful. Some keep looking outside themselves to find happiness. That's also true. What worldly possessions? My identity is wrapped up in what I own, who I am, the title that I have, and that is a self-defeating endeavor that sooner or later they realize that it's not out there, it's in here. Okay, so missing number 9s, of course, that's going to be for anyone who's born in the 21st century, 2000 and on. And the lack of a number 9 will have its effect depending on how the rest of the chart sets up and the individual's life path number. Certainly, it will take away on a positive note a tendency for black and white thinking. With that 9 energy that has been around for 1,000 years, we have that black and white, right or wrong mentality thinking. You can call it duality if you wish. Now, on the flip side, there can be a lack of individuality and a sense of independence by not having that number 9. Now, the influence of a 9 vibration, if you are born in the year 2000 and so on, and lack of 9, of course, if you have a life path number 9, and if you have an Aries or Scorpio sun sign or rising sign, you are good to go and have that quality of the number 9. I'm going to wrap it up there, friends. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.